Hey guys, how are ya? Good afternoon.
Wow.
All right, there we go.
Nursing a lot of hangovers there, I see.
My name's Melissa Osborne. I'm here from the events team. I'm your moderator this afternoon. I'm here with Lionel and with Ian from ServiceNow. Let's give them a round of applause this afternoon for joining us. I wanted to just take a moment, please, if you guys could mute your mobile devices, your laptops and everything else. Please give them the respect for the next 50 minutes that they gave you to put this presentation together. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'll be up here, but also running around with the mic at the end. So make sure that you guys get your questions ready at the end as well. But I'll let you guys take it away. Here you go.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Can you everybody hear me okay? Yeah, oh gee, you guys must have been drinking pretty hard. So I do apologise in advance. We're going to probably use to death the term digitization and digital transformation. So if you're nursing a hangover, we're going to make it worse. If you're playing the drinking game, we tend to do that. Okay, so what I wanted to really start off with was sort of setting the scene, and I'll go through the structure of what we're going to present today. One of the first things I want you to know is, for those of you who are, I've seen taking some photos of the slides, don't worry, they're going to be available at the end of today. We've actually made them specifically quite dense, so you can use them to help you flesh out your strategies and approaches to moving your business services onto ServiceNow, right? So just a quick show of hands, who doesn't have a digital transformation program or something going on today? One. Two people. Okay, that's not too bad. So to set the scene, so today the focus really is for businesses on business efficiency and enhancing that end user experience. That's both for users and customers, because everyone, except for you two, are running some form of digital transformation program or initiative to reduce the operational complexities, make life better for the user as far as enhancing the experience, and reduce some of the overheads. And we're trying to make this a little bit more conversational as Lionel and I go, but what we're finding with the customers that we work with is they struggle to get their heads around, well, I've got all these different platforms that I've invested in, I've got legacy systems, I've got these points of best of breed. How do I pull this all together in a cohesive, meaningful way to help my business? So with that, there's also the risk of the continued proliferation or rolling out more point solutions to patch your strategy or your vision of that digital transformation. But what today we want to show you, given that I'm assuming most of you are ServiceNow customers or looking to invest in ServiceNow, we want to show you that ServiceNow is definitely the platform to help you on that journey. So we'll show you how we can be the system of engagement, a system of action, which is integrating with all your systems of record, and then to provide that insight to help you continue to improve those services as we go. Okay, so just quickly, so Lionel and I hate being up here. I'm going to come down. Sorry guys, it's horrible. So Lionel and I are both part of a team called Inspire. So Inspire is an executive advisory program within ServiceNow. Our job is to work with some of our largest clients and help you, clients like you, and help their executives understand how ServiceNow can solve some of their biggest problems. I'm going to do another quick show of hands. So as far as the mix in the room, just to help me understand so we can pitch things slightly differently, can I have a hand? Technical people, architects, developers? Wow. Okay, those who haven't put their hand up, program managers, lines of business people, fantastic. Okay, so we've got a really good spread. All right, so we'll make sure we fit all of you in. So we're going to go through why a system of engagement and action. What does that mean? What do they consist of? And at the end, we'll go through some practical steps for those of you who are just beginning the journey. Here we go. Now, I know we want to, our time hasn't kicked off yet, so hey, maybe we'll have some more time. Fantastic. Anyone want to define for me? There's a bunch of architects in the room. We love descriptions and taxonomies. Anyone want to describe for me what they think or they understand digital transformation is? No? Come on, guys. Bit shy. All right. Given on the grounds you're probably nursing some hangovers and dry throats, we went and found the all-encompassing definition that we could to help you understand what digital transformation could be. And I do promise, if anyone can recite this verbatim at the end without using your phone, I will drink soda on me in the bar. But I'll read it for those of you at the back who might not be able to see. It is: digital transformation is the profound transformation of business and organisational activities, processes, competencies and models to fully leverage the changes and opportunities of a mix of digital technologies and their accelerating impact across society in a strategic and prioritised way with present and future shifts in mind. Now, none of you are ever going to remember that. What I did highlight, though, is it's about profound transformation. It is looking at those activities, those processes, those competencies, those tasks, using technology to make life better, make life easier. So what Lionel and I did is try to come up with a little bit more of a succinct description for digital transformation. So it certainly helped all of you start thinking what it should be or what it could be versus I just want to take stuff and plonk it on some technology. So it's about using technology to streamline and automate the way we work. And I want to focus on enhancing the overall experience. Now, I was talking to one of you in the room a little bit earlier. So there is a real mix of whether you actually have a transformation policy or a framework, or you don't really have one, but you have a group and a head of transformation and they're running at the wall a million miles an hour. One of the things you need to consider, and again, we'll cover this at the end, is it's not about lifting and shifting broken processes and manual, stitching manual things together. It's about how do you envisage the new way of working, making life easier for your employees and your customers. Okay, so with that said, the objective is for you to go and approach your head of digital transformation and actually be able to explain to them how ServiceNow will not only support it, but accelerate that transformation journey. Okay, again, I'm going to bring some, for some of you, there's maybe some new concepts. For those who are longer time ServiceNow users, you may see some of these as familiar. But what we thought we'd do is, well, why have a system of record, engagement, action and insight? And what does that mean in the terms of digital transformation? So first of all, let's start off with a system of record. These are these critical systems, the core platforms that your business essentially runs its day-to-day on. So your siloed operational groups live and breathe and work inside these things. And the greatest way that we find to sort of explain this, if I look at onboarding an employee, if I'm a line manager and I get a new employee on, and all of you will have this problem, there's a bunch of things I have to do. I have to set them up. I have to get them set up in payroll. I have to get them account. I have to get them equipment. I have to get them a desk. I have to get them a credit card. All of these things are separate manual processes that, as line managers, if any of you have had that pleasure, got to do via email, phone calls, and using the network that you know to get jobs done. And these are all interacting with these systems of record. So when we say the systems of record, it is these core systems that really drive and underpin your organisation. All right. So let's talk about a system of action. So as I said before, we're looking at onboarding an employee, a new employee. And there's all these steps that we need to do to get that outcome. What we like to call that is that this is a value chain or a business value chain. You have the outcome that you want. I want my employee onboarded, and there's a bunch of tasks and activities that have to happen to enable that. So a system of action is a way of digitizing that end-to-end business value chain. And we can do that in a number of phases. The first one is just orchestrating the workflow, so taking the manual task and the manual handing backwards and forwards of emails to people and actually do that as tasks in the system. And then you can look at it as a second phase where you're integrating into these systems of record and we're really starting to accelerate transformation through automation of work execution. All right. So rather than disparate sets of emails and worksheets and spreadsheets and files. We're looking at business rules and workflows. All right. So we've looked at a system of record. A system of record is where you store your core data or you run the core functions of your organisation. We talked about a system of action, which is now automating that end-to-end workflow. So what we have now is we want to provide a system of engagement. The idea of digital transformation is to take that load off and make life easier for our employees, as well as making the business more efficient. And the way I like to explain it is we have two things when we look at this areas: customer service and user experience. And if I look at customer service, that's something that goes wrong. How do I look after my people when something goes wrong? Everyone's heard of customer service, right? Yes, no, yes, falling asleep. So when I talk about user experience, that's actually now looking at what do your users need or desire and anticipating them and making it easier for them to consume. So you want them to be able to consume those services that you have now automated and orchestrated. You want to make it easy so they can get to it from whatever device they need to get to it from. They can interact however they need to interact. But most importantly, they can get the outcome that they want, simply and easily. And by putting the system of engagement over it, we're obfuscating or hiding the complexities that underpin delivery of the services. And this is a really big thing that IT has been doing for years, for decades, and we kind of have our head around it quite strongly. But as we roll out to business services across the organisation, it's something that you all need to take with you as you talk to the business about how you want to do this. All right, and the last bit of ground rule or ground setting that I'll do is we now have, once you have all of that, I have the system of record, I have a system of action, and now I have a system of engagement. So I have a single front door that's getting all those requests, I'm pumping them through the system. I'm now able to track and see how they're performing, what they're doing, how well they're performing, where their bottlenecks are. And I can roll that into a continuous service improvement program. I can then start to move from a reactive business to a proactive business. So this is really where now, as we're looking at the journey of digital transformation, and again, this is a journey, how we start to become, or to use the technology for the outcomes we're trying to achieve. Now, I think what I'll do is I'll pass to Lionel. He'll walk you through a couple of specific examples because before the session there were some questions about, well, what does that look like?
Thank you.
I'll let you take over.
So now that we have understood the concept of these different systems, let's take some concrete use cases. How does this actually map to real life? So from a system of engagement perspective, it's going to be very important to provide proactive information to the employees, to the customers, to the suppliers, to whoever you're interacting with. These are examples that we commonly see when we engage with customers that are looking at increasing the experience of their employees, customers, suppliers. On that example, we're looking at the employee-to-employee interaction. So as an employee, I want to know better my company, my organization, have access to org charts to understand who I'm supposed to work with, understand my colleagues' roles and responsibilities, quicker access to documents, policies, and procedures. This is a very recurring request from customers. Understand my career path and training and what do I need to do to go through this. Travel and expense, credit card requests, etc. So all these things today are usually spread over different intranet sites, different forms, SharePoints, etc. And the objective is really to consolidate all this information into one single stop shop where your employees have access to all this information. On the other end, there are predefined services that are also to be offered to the employees. It should not be, for the line manager to coordinate the onboarding of an employee. The onboarding is a service that is, that should be provided to the line managers, to the hiring managers. And the steps that are required to onboard someone are pretty standard, are predefined. So rather than to have them in a Word document or in Excel where someone has to execute them, the objective is really to create a predefined service with the underlying workflow that will actually orchestrate all the work that is required. This not only applies to onboarding, offboarding, move, relocation, expatriation, it's also about P2P, it's also about account to report or record to report for account payable, account receivable, etc. And all these processes that exist somewhere in the back office need to be exposed to the employees as services with the process orchestrating the work that needs to be delivered. These are just some examples. You will get the slides if you want to look further in details. The next one is the customer to employee. So same story here. We have customers that are serviced by the customer service team. So there is no reason that we should not be able to provide upfront information to them. Last year I was working with a very big hardware provider customer that was spending too much time, too much effort and cost in their customer service team. Their customers were calling all the time to ask for the status of an order for a machine or a bunch of machines. They were calling the service desk, the customer service, to request a change of their delivery address, for instance. Why should they call someone that will go and connect to SAP and make the changes? Why should we not be able to propose a set of services that are tied to their orders, their invoices, their contracts, and the system is going to orchestrate the work. Some of the tasks will be manual because they need to be manual. There might be some approvals, but there will also be some automation with the ERP, with the CRM and the other system of records, so that the non-added value work can be eliminated. So I have a quick demo that I will
do you want to get that set up?
Here.
Okay. So what we'll show you is an example of a customer portal. For those of you who are just starting out on the journey, or for the two of you in the room who said you haven't done it yet, what Lionel's going to do is show you a couple of examples of how we can bring it all together using the service portal as our system of engagement.
Yes, thank you. So, as said before, as an employee, and that could be translated for a customer as well, as an employee, I should not be worried about how the service providers are structured. I should not have to know which intranet page I have to access to request a service. So the objective is to have this one-stop shop like you would have on Amazon, where whoever the supplier is, you have one single place to go. And if you're looking for support on creating an NDA, you maybe not even know who is going to help you on that, but you just want to type, your keywords and search for whatever you want. We talked about invoices before, so if you have an issue with an invoice and you need help from finance to actually fix that issue, same story. If you want the latest iPhone, that one is going to come from IT, so that will come as well here. We have much more demo data for this one. And we talked about the onboarding, so if I want to onboard someone, same place, I just go there and I request my onboarding. What's going to happen now, the system will take me to a form, to an entry point that will capture all the information so that I can initiate the process. This information is to be captured only once, and not like today where when we onboard someone, the first contact of the new hire with the company is to fill 20 different forms because the departments are not reusing the data from across. So that was just a simple example. What we see also is that there is more and more convergence between the employee service portal and the intranet. And some people call that the employee digital workplace. We know from history that the intranet is a set of static pages that often expose a lot of information, knowledge, policies, and services in a static way. So a lot of our customers are now looking at making it more dynamic and transferring the content from the intranet into ServiceNow so that they can propose some more audience-specific content, which is composed of mainly knowledge, policies, news, services, and of course, issues that need to be fixed.
Cool. So just on the service portal and the journey you need to take, or you will undertake, I do see a couple of guys from the design thinking session. Can I do a quick show of hands? Who actually knows does anyone heard of design thinking? Yep, okay, about 4 or 5. Oh no, quite a few people. So it's, for want of a better term, it's an ideation method where you can brainstorm collaboratively on trying to understand what the problem is and then working together to get an outcome. We use it for many things such as re-engineering processes, and I've recently been working with a couple of different customers on how to make the front end look for the portal, what works for them. Now, you're never going to get it right first time, because as you broaden the use of the portal, you're going to get more feedback and you're going to change it. So just keep in mind, again, what we're talking about is digitizing your business services. This transformation is a journey. It's not do it once and leave it. It's something you're going to continuously do over time.
Thanks. Let's switch back to the PowerPoint. So what does it look like? We'll come back to the framework of the system of engagement, the system of action, and the system of insight. And we'll look first at the value that these different systems is bringing to the company. You won't digitize anything without budget, and you won't get any budget without a value proposition, without a strong business case. So the value for the system of engagement to the employees is going about the employee satisfaction, which is increasingly becoming more and more important. Some years or decades ago, the employees were, expected to accept to work with complex and legacy systems, etc. But nowadays, attracting the right talents, attracting, the people that are expecting the experience that they have at home, at work, is becoming much more difficult and a challenge. So we see a lot of our customers that are now looking at, making this a priority. And of course, the cost savings have to come along as well. But usually they go together, and increasing the satisfaction will also help optimize the cost. Reduce and simplify administration will definitely have an impact, of course, on the employee satisfaction, but also on the OpEx, increasing the employee retention and attracting the talents. Same story applies to customers. Not really different. The impact is much bigger, because losing a customer is losing money, is losing opportunities, but it's also about increasing their experience, making them willing to buy more and to have more contact with the enterprise, because it's easier to interact with. The system of action is going to be in the back office, transparent for the employees, for the customers, for the suppliers, and is going to help simplify, standardize, and ultimately automate the work. The objective here is around delivering faster the services, resolving faster issues wherever they come from, increasing the quality of the services that are delivered by having more predictable services that are predefined, repeatable, and ideally mistake less. Reduce OpEx and administration, of course, optimize the resource, and enable the cross-silos collaboration. A lot of people are talking about breaking the silos. That might be very difficult, but connecting the silos is definitely something that can be done with the system of action, where people know what they have to do, what is their role in this end-to-end value chain of activities that are required. As you can see underneath, we also have the machines and the connected device, the IoT. So what we're seeing is a lot of humans being replaced by machines, but these machines will still need services. They will need to be repaired, they will need maintenance, they will need to be refilled maybe, and therefore they will need to have access to those services as well that will initiate a set of action in the system of action. System of insight is going to provide real-time analytics to increase visibility and transparency, increase the communication so people don't have to send 2,000 emails to get the latest news on all the stuff that is going on. Increase communication and audit success rate. So there are a lot of customers coming to us now because of a failed audit. How can we avoid that? We didn't have the records that were needed by the auditors to make the audit successful. And ultimately move from reactive to proactive, and then to preventive. And of course, you've heard a lot about machine learning this week. This is definitely a way for the system to be much more proactive and preventing, proposing actions, proposing things to do to actually increase the services, quality, and speed. We see also the service outsourcing and BPO. So whether a service is delivered internally or externally, that should be completely transparent for your customers, for your employees, for the suppliers. So again, the system of action and insight is going to help address these. So if we look at the capabilities that are behind this, The system of engagement, you have understood, it's about providing an omni-channel experience so that I can access all the capabilities from my phone, from my tablet, or from my desktop. It's about chat and chatbot, the virtual agent that we talk about as well this week, news, knowledge, pushing information so people don't have to contact when they can find that information themselves, and the service catalog. From a customer and supplier perspective, same kind of capabilities for different audience. System of action is about providing case and request management to actually capture the information and orchestrate it, but it's also about demand and project management. If a business stakeholder is coming and asking for a new capability, asking for a new solution to address a business need, this is also a service that is provided by the enterprise, right? Same for the different departments of the enterprise. The end-to-end process workflow, of course, we talked about Flow Designer earlier this week, and Automation Hub. So these are the capabilities that will help orchestrate this work. Orchestration and automation will help integrate with the system of records and automate the work. And from a system of insight, we'll look at service levels, of course. A good and strong process will have clear KPIs and clear targets on how much time is given to deliver specific activities. Real-time analytics, continuous compliance, we mentioned it before. Financial management to actually measure the cost of your services and ideally show back or even charge back to your stakeholders, to your customers that are using these services. NPS satisfaction survey, and then we see service integration and vendor risk and performance management. So this is about making sure that the services that are provisioned from outside are properly measured, are properly governed, tracked, and continuously improved.
Hang on one second. So one of the things that's come up in a lot of my engagements with customers is the SLAs is a fantastic one, where there's a bunch of business services. So in IT, for those of you who work in IT and have an IT background or work in outsourcing, SLAs are our life. We kind of get it, we know how to measure it, we know what's good, what's bad, and how to play the game. For a lot of business services, we're finding that there is no SLA. They don't know what it is. They don't know what good should look like, and certainly the customers haven't polled the business to know what they want. By actually now starting to capture all of this, you can start building a baseline and understand what you can do and what would start to be able to offer SLAs and work out, again, as we talked about at the beginning, ratcheting up that capability, continuous service improvement, improving things, making them better.
So let's take some concrete examples. So for the different lines of services, and these words may resonate more or less. We usually talk about hire to retire or HR services or employee service, or some are calling it employee experience now. You have the general services or facilities and security services. Technology, of course, IT services, record to report or account to report, which is really about the financial kind of activities. And then for customers and supplier, we have order to cash and procure to pay, including, of course, customer service, consumer service, etc. And of course, for the connected machines, we have, repair to maintain, so making sure that these machines are properly supported and enabled. So if we look at the lower level of capabilities of the system of engagement, priority number one is to provide one single entry point so that people don't have to search across a number of repositories to find their way. Providing chat, news, and knowledge, we've seen that before. From a system of action perspective, we have three main items that are really important here. The first is to handle the unexpected requests. For IT, it's called incident management. For the business, we call it case management. Some call it incident management for the business. This is about capturing broken things, processes, etc., and making sure that they are addressed as soon as possible. The predefined services is about having a predefined process that handles those recurring requests that are coming. So you should have, over time, less and less unexpected requests that are transferred into a predefined service. The system of insight is mainly about service levels and analytics. So if we take some examples, the employee digital workplace that we saw before is providing the entry point for the employee across all the departments. From a chat news and knowledge perspective, this is about providing audience-specific content so that people are not bothered by the noise of useless information. Take an IT example, if SAP Finance is down, should the communication go to the entire company? Or should it not rather go to the people that are affected? Maybe the people that have the role in SAP related to this application. If there is specific communication about a campus or the restaurant of, the canteen of the campus, if there is an issue with the parking lot somewhere, etc., why should not this information be targeted to the right people so that they get a much better experience at work, knowing upfront what's going on and not searching for information or being not informed? Support chat and chatbots, so we've discussed a lot about that. The objective here, of course, is to provide a better experience for the employees, but also to reduce the workload of the service desk and find a way to delegate some of the work to the chatbot with always the ability to switch to a human if needed. And social collaborations and communities. So this is, again, a way to reduce the workload at the service desk by enabling employees to work with each other and to help each other to share information and to enjoy that, actually. From a hire to retire or HR or employee service perspective, some examples of unexpected requests. So these are typically the ad hoc inquiries, like, my paycheck is missing a zero. I tried to raise this one already, but they didn't like it.
Mine was missing 2, so.
Or 2 zeros.
2 zeros.
But when something is broken, when something doesn't work, people should send an email to someone and hope that they will get back to it. It should be a process which is properly structured and with SLAs and with, service level agreements or predefined, target for delivering the resolution of that. I could not find my public holiday calendar, or I need help with tax declaration. This one is a good example. It might be an ad hoc inquiries that over time turns into a predefined service because you see that it's a recurring request that is coming and should be delivered as a service to the employee. Of course, then you will want probably to measure the cost of delivering that services as well and see how that can be improved, maybe outsourced, etc. Talking about predefined services, so under record to report, a good example is the end-to-end process orchestration of the financial period end closing. So this is something that we use ServiceNow for. So we have digitized our entire period end closing process so that all the people and all the ServiceNow entities across the world know what they have to do at which time, what is the sequence, the dependencies, etc. So they receive tasks at the right time to actually close the book, import the data from the different systems that could be outside SAP, etc., and then close the task and hand over to the next one that will need to do their bit of work. We've seen in many of our customers that this is usually a big pain, which is relying a lot on emails and Excels, etc., but which is having a very heavy impact to the CFO and to the actual analyst, financial analysts, if they don't get the figures on time at the end of the quarter.
So just before I was talking to one of you here about some examples of this one, and if we look at that journey that we keep talking about, so one of the customers that I'm working with, they have a horrid journal entry and end-of-month processing process where the various teams around the different departments do everything in a spreadsheet. They send that spreadsheet in via email to somebody who manually does all these checks to make sure that the spreadsheet isn't broken before then logging into SAP and then lifting and shifting 700 lines plus into SAP before then doing a test post. And this is into the test system. Then they do the same process again into the production system and make sure it goes through. And if it goes through without any error, then they have somebody else again step in and go, yes, that looks correct. Take a screen grab and then send it back to the originator of the request. What we've worked with them and a partner, and what they've done is a really simple proof of concept where, well, let's just take the people out of the process. The finance people love their spreadsheets, and if you haven't dealt with finance people and their love of spreadsheets, as you go through this process, it's probably one of the biggest things that the hurdles you'll hit is people who love their macros and their spreadsheets. But they use a combination of ServiceNow to do workflow automation, using robotic process automation as well to pull that together, automate those checks, lift and shift it again into the pre-checks for posting, and then doing the post. And because it was an automated process, and then you've got the approval up front, they're able to post it and approve that posting all in one go. So you can do these things in different steps, and obviously their next step is to look, how do we completely do the integration and remove the RPA piece, which is screen scraping. So as you mature on your journey, you're going to see these examples.
So another example of a predefined service. So we talked about the onboarding before, but onboarding is just one of them, right? Around the life cycle of an employee, assigned to an enterprise. Another example is the expatriation, and this one is a very sensitive one. Usually the expats are the VPs, very well paid, and that are expecting a seamless experience when they are relocating across the world. So this is also usually the one that gets prioritized next after onboarding, to make sure that the experience for these senior people is actually acceptable. But many others, like marriage, birth, and any other event, is the typical activities and value chains that should be predefined and digitized.
Okay.
If we take a look at the automated delivery of activities, so I had a customer a few months ago that was looking at automating the execution of some paperwork. So automating, for instance, the generation of a reference letter, so that instead of having people having to write a Word document, which usually looks the same, why not having a set of templates that are available and that leverages all the information that is in the platform and generates this document in just a few minutes instead of taking a few more to actually deliver. The bank detail updates is another good one, being able to connect with the HCM solution, Workday, SuccessFactors, SAP, etc., and being able to capture from the employee the changes that he wants to make and automate the execution directly in the system of record instead of having someone to do that manually. Another example is RPA integration. This is a very hot topic at the moment. There are a lot of activities going on here, but these RPA processes are often triggered either by a human, by an employee or a customer or a supplier, or by a machine. So using the system of engagement and the system of action to actually orchestrate the execution of the RPA is another way of increasing this, this end-to-end experience and making sure that the processes are connected. So now it's a lot of conceptual theories and so on. So how does this map to the product, to the ServiceNow products? Well, let's look at it. So we'll take the same framework. And by the way, these slides will be available for you. And what we would love is that you try to use them to make them your own. You map your stuff for your enterprise, and you start using them internally to talk with people and help them understand how ServiceNow can help digitize the enterprise. So if we look at the first piece, it's what we call the Employee Digital Workplace. So this is the Employee Service Portal or the Employee Service Center. This is standard product on ServiceNow. Then you will probably create a few pages on the portal. The first page is the one I showed before, so it's the one entry point going across all the departments. But usually we also see that each of the departments wants to have their own corner. They want to have the HR page or corner where they have all the information specific to the HR services. Same for facilities, for IT, for finance, etc. All these can be set on the same service portal. Same applies to customer and suppliers. So customer service management will provide the same capabilities for the external world. What will be interesting here is that there are additional capabilities so that the customers can manage their own contacts and the people that can access the service portal by themselves. You have authentication through Facebook. So, the latest kind of capabilities you expect for connecting from outside. The virtual agent is going to go across all these departments and take questions, take request services, etc., look into the different databases, knowledge bases, catalogs, etc., and find the right answers for the customers, for the suppliers, for the employees. From an HR and IT and security perspective, we have these standard apps that you probably know about that can be used to digitize the services and handle the unexpected requests and the predefined services. For facilities, finance, procurement, legal services, and etc., there are two options. You can create your own business app, or you can buy one on the store. I'm sure you've visited the booth and you've seen a lot of partners that are spending a lot of effort in creating business apps that will, accelerate your adoption of digital services. The service catalog is going to go across all these domains and will provide a way to publish those services to the different roles. Enterprise onboarding and transition, as well as flow designers, are the two main capabilities that will help orchestrate the work across the different organizations. Enterprise onboarding and transition is all about the employee life cycle, so all the events that happen triggered by the life cycle of an employee. Flow designer is for all the other processes and services. Automation hub and orchestration is going to connect to the external systems and execute the work automatically. But cloud management from an IT perspective is also going to automate the work, provisioning instances, and basically eliminating the manual activities that today are probably done somewhere offshore and executed as a Word document, very detailed, explaining what to do. If you have that, you can transfer it into a system that will execute the work instead of manual. And then from a system of insight perspective, service level management, surveys, operational reports, performance analytics, etc.
All right. So what I do want to do is make sure we've got a little bit of time for questions. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and then we'll do some Q&A, because there was some good questions up front, and I might repeat a couple of them if that's okay. But how to get started. So one of the things that I find that people struggle with is, okay, I've found out all my processes. I know that I've got 67 processes in my back office or shared business services. What do I do next? And believe it or not, that if you're not at that point yet, then the first step you need to do is actually go and find out what you have. Now, my background, as you may have saw flashed up at the beginning, GRC background many years ago. So I like risk frameworks. And a great modification of that is just looking at an effort and impact analysis on those processes. So are they well known? Are they well documented? Did you know what you need to do to integrate them? If you don't, are they well enough known that you can quickly get that done? If that's not known, do you have to, and I said before about a design thinking session, do you need to actually get people in a workshop and work out what the workflow looks like? Because it's crossing 6, 7, 8 parts of the business. No one has an end-to-end view. Or is it completely unknown, you've just found out about it, and you need to iterate through CB&A to get there? And we talked about digital transformation is about streamlining how we do business, removing the overheads, but also enhancing the employee experience. So what's the impact? Integrations, are they readily available? Are they easy to configure? Can I get them out? How much is that going to cost? Because there's a financial impact to doing that. The changes, again, how are we going to measure this? So when you go and put your transformation program up, there's obviously a business case that underpins it. So you're going to weight these slightly differently depending on the outcome you're trying to achieve. So do I want to get CSAT, NPS, or productivity? Is the change going to make work faster? Is the change going to reduce costs? The reduce costs is a good one. So that is, am I being able to now rationalise the amount of systems that I have? Can I take those 16 systems that people use down to 1 or 2? Again, FTE, can I now reduce the amount of headcount? A lot of people are stuck with that now, where they're finding their budgets are going to get cut. How do I reduce that? Or how do I reallocate those people to do other things? And finally, productivity. Now, for those of you who don't know, you can do this on platform in demand management, and you can actually use this to illustrate to your executive team and those who are running the program on, well, let's look at where we want to spend our money, our time and effort for the biggest bang for buck. All right, I think we're in almost countdown time now, so I do have a call for action. I might do some Q&A, is that all right? So there were some questions that came out earlier, and I might repeat a couple of them if it's okay. One was, do we see that my business is struggling with a cohesive digital transformation strategy? Is that common? And the answer is, yeah, I've yet to see one that is absolutely fantastic. Sometimes they're externally focused, so the CDO and what they care about, those customer-facing services and how they're integrated and automated, and those back-of-house services are completely forgotten. Or we've just purchased a bunch of products, and because we know that's what we want, now we're just running at the wall as fast as we can to deploy it without rhyme nor reason. So that was a really good question. That's some of the things that we're seeing. Please put your hand up. There's a microphone going around. Have you got questions? Yes. There's a few around here. Okay, wherever the microphone goes to first. All right. And we've got another one up the front here too.
Thanks, guys, for the presentation. It was really great. When you've got that model, the systems of engagement, systems of model, do you propose in there that you would try to reduce the number of portals that the different parts of the business want to operate? I can see that, you know, deploying things like a virtual agent would be much easier if you had a single service portal rather than one for HR and one for IT and so on. Is that what you propose? And if
right.
The second question would be, have you ever had those discussions in the business, and how has that gone in general?
Yes, and so I think it's going to depend if the transformation is going bottom up or top down. Hopefully, it's going top down, and the sponsor or the program manager is looking for the user experience as a target. And if that's the case, then definitely reduce number of portals. Some people are talking about using our virtual agents to then connect to the other virtual agents, the other chatbots. I think that's what you had in mind. So it's going to depend on the exact context, but definitely I would look for reducing the maximum number of portals. Ideally, you would have one entry point for your employees, one for the suppliers, one for the customers. Of course, there might be legacies, there might be some constraints that you cannot work around. Can automation integration address all these, or are there some limitations that needs to be, of course, discussed?
Cool.
This is kind of a follow-on to your repeat of the question about, does your company have a clear strategy for digital transformation? And I apologize for the lengthy question. I've been here a week, and I've got a lot of things swimming in my head.
All good.
You mentioned the journey of a digital transformation.
Yes.
I attended a couple of the executive architect sessions yesterday, your boss Michael, and he mentioned he's only copped to 20 plus years of experience, and I'm probably in the same category as him. Been around since punch card days. And I listened to him yesterday, I listened to Fred talking yesterday afternoon about both the old days and about us being prepared for Gen Z coming into the workplace, and how he envisions like at some point you'll have the holodesk, and he thinks hand gestures and vocal stuff. I mean, everyone's got Siri and Alexa, everything like that already in their hands and their homes. Fundamentally, trying to get my head around digital transformation. I don't want to diss it. It's a key go-to-market for my company.
Yep.
But I've seen a lot of digital transformation over the years, from punch cards through the internet, the .com era.
Yep.
And looking to the future, like Fred is, how is this not just another path along the road? What is fundamentally different about what we're calling digital transformation?
Right, so I'm going to be the heretic and say it's going to continuously reinvent itself. So what I find today is that everybody has raced towards commoditization, and our differentiator, everyone's differentiator in market now is an employee experience, and that is key these days to digital transformation. Now tomorrow, when everyone else is giving everybody a fantastic experience, I guarantee there'll be some other nuance that gets thrown in there. Yes, so I might look young, I've been around a long time. I was pulling pulling punch card systems out when I first started my career. So, but look, it does change and it will continuously reinvent itself. So what we see now is what we've presented today, and that seems to be, at least for the last couple of years and for the next 4 or 5, absolutely I see that being what we've presented is the path that people are trekking. Cool. Do we have any other questions? We've got one down the back. Just put your hand up again, mate. Yep, cool.
Sorry. It's also been a long week.
All right. We're almost out of time. Last question, go for
I'm
it.
going to ask something which is a low level, all right? So I see a lot of good slides and everything, but I want to understand in terms of metadata and taxonomy, where is that commonality that you're going to build up? Because I see system of engagement, system of insight, system of records, but you're bringing data from disparate sources. How are you managing that?
Yeah, very good point. That's often an issue, especially when these initiatives are done bottom-up, so everyone is doing their stuff on their side, and they forget the end users. So what we usually see that is quite successful is to appoint a user experience, head of user experience, and that person will have the mission to make sure that any initiatives which are digitizing the employee's life or the customers will have a consistent user-centered design approach, and will make sure that the catalogs as they get created are coherent and consistent across the departments. Otherwise, what's going to happen is everyone will use their term, will use their and their ideas, and the user, even if you're using one platform, the data is not coherent and consistent, people will get lost, and employees will not get more productive.
Yeah.
Does that answer, or?
Does that help? Yeah. Okay. So we are well out of time, but I did have a call to action, and that really is, so first of all, go find out who runs your digital transformation strategy. From what we've covered off today, and again, these slides are available at the end of today, so identify what could be done in your organisation. And if you don't know, go talk to colleagues. I'm sure there's things that bug them. Work out what it could be. Have a look at that sort of architectural high-level slide, what components of ServiceNow could be used to deliver that outcome, and then go introduce yourself to your head of digital transformation and bring your ideas to the table. So with that, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to us. Enjoy the rest of the week.